Hello, fictional. Welcome to the Fiction Series X. Today we are gonna see, what if Issei was bodyguard for abandoned princess? Part 2. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Kaneko Taojo, she had a dream where she stood in a place filled with darkness enveloping the world. A dream that was quite frightening for Kaneko. She walked down a path that led her to the top of a hill. On the hill she saw someone standing there. It was a man. A man in a shirt full of battle torns. The man looked at Kaneko with a sad smile. "Oju-sama, this is the time. Please, kill me." When Kaneko was about to cry, she suddenly saw that the world was filled with a bright warm light that she loved so much. As Kaneko slowly opened her eyes, she felt something, a warmth coming from next to her. "My name is Kaneko Taojo, and now I have to refrain from wanting to scream as loud as possible. The reason why I wanted to scream was because right now why is he here? Beside me Issei was fast asleep with his arms hugging me. Ooh. I tried to resist the urge to hug back him when I saw Issei's sleeping face is so cute. So this is Issei's sleeping face, huh? I don't know why, since yesterday Issei seemed to be thinking about something I couldn't understand. Even Issei didn't want to explain or tell me anything. I ended up remaining still in my position for a few minutes, allowing my ego to hold it a little longer. That overtook my mind. After a while I started listening to Issei's murmuring in his sleep until the sun began to shine on his face. Issei groaned when he felt the sunlight shining on him. I, who was still hugged by him, could only be silent. My face felt hot when I saw him yawn. "Oju-sama," said Issei when he woke up, but I still couldn't make a sound. Even my face got even redder when the gaze of him, which I thought was very dangerous for women, began to be directed at me. When Issei saw me, who was silent, he immediately realized what was happening when he saw his hands that were still attached to my body. "I am sorry, Oju-sama." Issei immediately woke up and panicked when he found out about this. A stiff atmosphere began to emerge between the two of us when Issei was a little away from me, and I could only hold my face in silence. Well, Issei is embarrassed. I tried to hold back my screams again when I found out that Issei was embarrassed when he found out what he was doing. I then glanced slightly at his face, and when I saw his expression, my heart felt like it was about to stop. Issei covered his mouth and his face looked red. At that moment I knew that he at least saw me as the opposite sex. Unconsciously I started to approach him and leaned my head on his back, which suddenly made him turn towards me. "Oju-sama." I did not answer him straight away. I remained silent, leaning on him to let his warmth envelop me. I don't know why, but after seeing that dream, I feel that Issei will go away from me. "Issei." "Yes, Oju-sama. Can you promise me anything? Then, promise me if you don't leave me alone in this world." I don't know why I said that word to him, but I have a feeling that sooner or later this will happen, and when that happens, I don't know how to react to that. Issei just smiled at me. "Don't worry about that thing, I won't go anywhere, nor will ever leave you alone." He said that, but deep inside of me I know he's lying about that. As the time goes by, noon has arrived. Both me and Issei continue looking for villager in this empty village. Quite strange why a village this large can feel so lifeless. It's just like being abandoned for many years. Almost forgot, the transparent woman from before is nowhere to be seen. Yesterday I still able to talk with her, but now she's suddenly disappeared like nothing. Is she already passed to afterlife? As I wondering about that, Issei start to look at the distance. There's a human silhouette, and by the posture I already know who is that. "Hey." The woman start wave her transparent hand at us. I start to walk faster to her, and then Issei follow me after. When we arrive, the woman start to glance at me with her smile as usual. "You still look cute as usual, Kaneko," says the woman at me. I start to feel embarrassed when she said I'm cute. When I lowered my head in embarrassment, Issei then began open the conversation as silence broke between us. "Quite rude for you to call Mrs. Kaneko Taojo as you, Ms. Unknown Spirit." Issei insulted the transparent woman who called me you instead of using my name, and also how that woman who didn't introduce herself to us made Issei quite annoyed. "Yufufu, I'm sorry for my rudeness, let me introduce myself then." The woman start to knelt in elegant manner at me while lift a little her skirt, like introduction myself in front of royalty. Seeing her like this made me think that she's probably has some sort of connection with noble bloodline within her. "My name is Meiti Terumi Awareness. Long time ago I was a daughter of Duke Rodney Awareness, but it already in the past." She's then telling us where she lived when she alive and how she's met her end of life, although she doesn't seem mind about that, but it makes me sad when knowing how she lived as a ghost for that long. "So, why you're still here?" asked Issei when look at her with doesn't care about her situation at all. "Issei, aren't you being too insensitive about her?" I protested at him, but he didn't answer me. "And for now, I wanted to tell you guys something. Say it again, Issei with his a little arrogant tone. He never acted like this at me, which makes me happy about that, but still I think Issei went too far with his altitude. Little girl. And now she makes me mad, how dare she's called me little girl. Am I look like little girl to you? But again, when I take a look my appearance I realize that she's not totally wrong. I wanted to tell you something. What is it? I replied curiously waiting what she's going to say. Follow me, I'm going to tell you when we arrive in there. Both me and Issei then followed her to the place where she's take us. Takes a while to walk through the forest, south from the village we arrive at the place she mentioned earlier. Mrs. Kaneko, did you see that sword? The woman said that while pointing her index finger towards a place where the grass was flourishing. In the middle of the grass, there was a beautiful silver sword stuck in a rock. What is that? I said while looking at the sword. Issei stays quiet, he then patted my shoulder and smiled at me. It's your time, Mrs. Kaneko Taojo. Again, with his very formal tone from before. I don't know why, but seeing Issei like that makes me feel uncomfortable. The transparent woman then taking my hand and weirdly annoyed she's able to take me to the sword, despite the fact that she is a ghost, but she able to touch me without any problem. When the woman led me to the sword, I saw beautiful carvings on the side of the sword. Writing that I never knew before, beautifully painted there. When the woman let go of my hand, my instincts told me that I had to touch the sword. When I grabbed the sword hilt something got into me, this warm feeling. I slowly drew the sword and without realizing it managed to pull the sword completely from the rock. A moment later I was attacked by a strange energy that was possessing me, the energy felt so warm as if it was embraced me with love and happiness. When I opened my eyes, I saw light. The sunlight seemed to be shining on me and when I turned towards Issei and the transparent woman, both of them acted strangely. Welcome the chosen one. You're the hero that going to save this world from darkness and embrace the world into the warmth of love, said the woman while kneeling in front of me. Issei who was also kneeling, then drew his sword and stuck it into the ground in a kneeling pose. My name is Issei J. Hayato, from this point on. I, as your knight will always be your side and will always guide you to path of light, where you will be shining this world with your justice and will always be the son of those who trapped in the darkness. I made this oath and will always stay in this oath until my death. Issei then stand up and take my hand, he knelt once again, but what he did next make me scream a little. Mrs. Kaneko, no Mrs. Hero. Please let me be your sword once more. He then kissed my hand and it made me scream embarrassed when he did that. I don't know anything about heroes and various other things, what do I know, now I'm called a hero by a woman named Mayor Odni Awareness. The sword I was currently holding appeared to be a holy relic sword that was only used by the previous heroes. Strangely, I don't feel that I am the chosen hero, so why should I be the one? I, who was sitting by the river staring at the sword, I wondered if the strength I got was worthy of someone like me. I'm just an ordinary girl without special powers, and also I cry very easily. If someone like me became a hero would I be able to? Mrs. Kaneko, do you still have doubts about yourself? And now Issei started calling me with FOMO, a little annoyed I started to turn around and look at him with an annoyed face. HRHHHHH why do you call me like that? Issei. I protested towards him and the response I got was a smile. Since you are now the chosen hero, it would be rude for me to call a figure like you the same as before. Then don't call me too formal, please. I started to stand up and approached him. When we were close enough I pulled a little on his sleeve trying not to look strange, but my face could not hold back the overflowing emotions. I don't want you to act like a stranger to me, Issei. I tried to hold back the sadness, but I, who couldn't hold back the expression on my face, made Issei look at me with a complicated gaze. Oju-sama, you are too cute. Please stop making those expressions. Did you say something, Issei? Issei went silent when I said that. What did she said? Is she able to know what I was thinking? Again, but this time I went silent, pretend didn't know anything because I know exactly what's happened. The power to read minds is quite extraordinary, but I don't think that this power will be of any use to me other than. Issei, tell me, am I cute? I started looking at her with an anxious face and tried to make her attracted by my charm. Issei just gave me a smile as usual. You're already cute, Mrs. Kaneko. Not Mrs. Just say my name. Oju-sama, I can't look at you if you're still like that, you're too cute. I smiled while leaning my face on his chest, which quite surprised him. After knowing how he really felt, I can't stop smiling because I don't want him to see my face right now. All I can do is hiding my face on his chest, hoping he would never see me right now. My heart was beating very fast and my mind began to mess when I heard Issei's heartbeat, which I thought was a very calming melody. We remained in that position for a while. Issei, who also blushed because of my actions, could only hold back himself, and I also tried hard to stop myself from going any further. When I pulled my face away from his chest, I could see his face very clearly. Since when did his face look so handsome to me? I asked in my heart. When I saw his eyes, what I could see was a vast expanse of ocean on the shore. His gentle expression made me fall in love with him even more. Hey Issei, can you hear my feelings? Did you know how hard I tried to hold back myself for all these years? I said all of that deep inside my mind when looking at his face, which getting redder even clearly. When both of us staring each other, I don't know why, but I have feeling that I must close my eyes. When I do, I don't know what Issei would do to me next. All I could do is waiting. Instead of getting the kiss I imagined, I started to feel something strange on my forehead. Oh Oju-sama, you'd better don't do that again. Issei started to force me away from his arms, but the expression on his face, I could see that his face and ears were turning red. When I started to realize what was really happening, I blushed when I touched my forehead. Issei began to step away from me, leaving me alone on the bank of the river, which was still frozen silent. Then I start screaming with all my might after I managed to process the entire situation. Ah. He kissed my forehead. My mind started to run wild, and I could no longer contain the happy feeling that enveloped my mind. I could have died with just this happiness. I started rolling along the river when I couldn't let go of what happened just now. My mind and my heart, everything feels will be exploded by this happiness. My feelings for him were at least not one-sided, and I know that he at least keeps his feelings for me. Issei, I love you. As time goes by, Kaneko Taojo, right now I'm the happiest girl in the world. The reason why I being so happy right now is because the person next to me are in shy mode. I called it the shy mode because he would never say his honest feeling whenever I start to approaching him, and he would immediately cover up his mouth a little, pretend he wouldn't care what I was doing or why. We are now in the haunted village. The reason I also called this village as haunted is because the person next to me aren't actually person, in fact it was a ghost. At first I was scared by her, but for now we are good friends, I think. So, what we are doing now? I asked Issei, who was watching the empty village. Ever since we've arrived in this village, we hasn't seen any of villager in this place. Quite weird, but I can't get rid this uncomfortable feeling I have for past few hour. I don't know why, but I have feeling that we've been watching by something from afar. Just when I thought there was nothing wrong, Issei suddenly stopped his gaze at a place in the distance. Disrespectful guest, at least say hello to us, said the transparent woman named May, while following Issei's gaze. I who don't know anything can only follow their gaze. My instinct tells me that I have to draw my sword right now. A long time ago, there was a story. A story that tells about the journey of a chosen hero, chosen by the gods. The chosen hero has a task. The task where they must save the world from destruction, from eternal darkness that will engulf the world forever. Ignoring feelings, ignoring personal interests, neglecting everything they love, like, and much more, all these things, as long they still is the chosen one, they have to bear all of those things. For some people it might too hard, but many did it. 1 to billion of the story about these heroes began to disappear as time passed on. Million of their story untold, and many of them were ended tragically. Start with their romance life, to their way of life, all of them are being washed away. Even though they tried their best to keep their story to being remembered by many generation, everything start to become useless once next generation start to appear. Everything that they told will always be forgotten. It will happen again in this story. And will always be repeated. Just like a river. A river is full of branches until it finally meets one end, namely the river mouth that is connected to the sea, where everything becomes one and remains the same. Kaneko Taojo, the 742th chosen hero, will the story be different or will it end with the same thing as the others? No one knows about that. Together with her knight, Kaneko has a long journey of story which she will write into a book that never existed. In a lonely village without humans, 2 humans and a transparent figure are currently standing staring at a human figure standing in the distance. The human figure was walking towards them with a sword in hand. He didn't seem like he was going to speak nicely to them. Issei quickly drew his sword and returned a sharp gaze towards the human figure. Who and what do you want? Issei asked in a tone full of intimidation with the sword he prepared in his hand. Kaneko, who had also drawn her sword, and immediately took a full stance on the human. Even though Kaneko had never studied swordsmanship, at least she had a little knowledge on how to defend herself, and that was thanks to Issei, who educated her very well. Kaneko Taojo, that's my name. Right now we were faced with a strange person who seemed like they were going to attack us. Answer me. Who and what do you want? Issei snapped once again at the human. Humans in strange clothes like royal soldiers started walking slowly towards us. Kaneko, be careful, he seems to be planning something. Yes, I know. It seems that Issei doesn't realize that he calls me by my first name without the usual honorifics, even though I'm quite happy, but this is not the time for me to be distracted by that. So, the prophecy was right, huh? Who would have thought that the chosen one was the abandoned princess? The man then stopped his footsteps when he got close enough to us. Before long the man started pointing his sword at Issei, who was still on alert. Now, should I kill you first and then you afterwards? Or should I kill you both at the same time? Step over my corpse first, you punk. Maybe this is the first time I heard Issei use harsh words to someone. When I thought the man was not doing anything, Issei suddenly ran very fast towards him. Issei's speed was so fast that even my eyes couldn't see him other than the flash of light where he was standing earlier. Blink, the two swords met when Issei was in front of that man. The two of them seemed to be looking at each other with a sharp gaze. Issei added his strength to the sword, causing energy to start flowing through both his body and the sword. Blue flame, said Issei with a firm tone. The energy spontaneously surged sharply to form a kind of blue flames enveloping his sword. Interesting. Issei started to move away a little when he felt something, and the moment he walked away, the man started to be coated with dark purple energy with a strong intimidating aura. I, who watched from a distance, could only be shivered in fear to see that man's face looked creepy, but when I saw Issei's face, my fear grew even more. Issei stood there staring at him with a blank face. So this is what I have to do, huh? Said Issei when he saw the man's face, which had an aura quite familiar to him. Why? Aren't you going to attack me? Said the man with a very deep intonation full of pressure. Issei just stood still with the sword still in his hand. He started to close his eyes and sighed for a moment. When he saw how arrogant that human was with that artificial energy, Issei couldn't stop the cringe feeling that entered his mind. Shut up. Issei replied while darting back to the human with the sword he slashed frontally. The man with that energy stopped Issei's attack with his sword, but he did not know that Issei about to attack him with a powerful kick to his stomach. The sudden attack succeeded in making the man surprised, but did not wait for him to respond. Issei continued his next attack by hitting his face. How dare you? The man started to get angry when his face was hit very hard by Issei. The man started to rampage, with energy covering his entire body. He attacked Issei with various lashes that were very fast. Issei managed to fend off several attacks, but several attacks managed to scratch it, which made Issei have to take a step away from the man. You won't get away. The man did not give a gap to Issei and returned to showering him with repeated attacks. Issei had a little trouble avoiding the attacks. Relying on instinct, Issei immediately lowered his head when the man was about to launch a frontal attack and kicked him in the leg, which immediately knocked him down. The sound of iron clinking echoed again when Issei was about to slash the man's neck, but was blocked by his bare hands. Issei cursed at the man when he saw the man manage to stop him, but not long after, the man began to spike his energy, which spontaneously made Issei thrown away. Ahahaha, is that your only ability? You mixed race. Hearing those words made me wonder a little what they meant, but Issei immediately stood up and stared murderously at the man. Don't you dare say that, Issei threatened. He was so angry with him that even his face, which usually looks soft with affection, immediately disappeared instantly. Issei's face looked even more creepy, and I could see his gaze that he had no more words of mercy on the man. Kaneko, I hope you will forgive me later, Issei said with his gaze still the same. When Issei was silent for a moment, I could feel a tense cold enveloping my surroundings. You will regret what you said Issei with an intonation as creepy as that man. Ahaha, now let's talk to our strengths, mixed humans. The man and Issei both continued attacks at the same time very quickly. Clashing blades echoed out. Issei continued the attack with a mixture of punches and slashes. Several strikes managed to leave the man hit with a crushing blow, but the man responded with a powerful kick to Issei, which sent Issei crashing into a tree. Issei. When I tried to run towards him, but Issei immediately stood up and returned to holding his sword. Weak, you are so weak. Is this what you got from protecting that stupid princess all this time? I am disappointed to you, Issei J Hayato, or should I say Silver F. Don't you funking dare to say it. Issei immediately got angry and went straight at the man with killing intent. Issei's all frontal attack that directed at the man, all of them was easily deflected by him. When I saw how the battle, the exchange of blows and the exchange of slashes continued, I, who could only stare silently in fear, could only hope that Issei could win. I'm pathetic. I tried to hold back my tears when I saw how I couldn't help at all. When I saw Issei's face, which was slightly different, I felt that Issei was thinking about something. I never thought that Issei could be that angry and terrible at the same time when that man said something about him. When the fight had no sign of stopping, I stood back up holding my sword with my hand still shaking violently. I have to be brave. I said when I started to dare myself to help Issei, but my fear was too great. Even I was on the verge of tears when I saw how Issei had to struggle to counter the man's attack. As I gripped my sword firmly, wishing I could gain courage from the sword, something tapped my shoulder. You're brave enough, so don't push yourself. I was speechless when I saw someone behind me. Leave it to me, lady. The man walked towards the two of them who were still exchanging attacks until something deafening began to sound loud. Arg. Erg. Issei and the man both covered their ears after the sound was very painful. I could indeed hear the echo, but it was strange that I didn't feel anything. How dare you? Humans. Careful. I shouted at the human who was standing quietly as the man quickly jumped at him, but. Disgusting. I widened silently when I saw that, my eyes froze when I saw that man swinging his sword, and spontaneously something disgusting appeared before my eyes. The man covered in purple energy was splitting into pieces before my eyes, even his blood that was starting to flow, I could no longer see it with my eyes. But I held myself when I wanted to vomit my guts when I saw the man's body, which was very easily split by the man. The man didn't answer and walked back towards Issei, who was standing there with a sharp gaze towards him. "You, tell me. Are you on the side of mankind or not?" said the man as he pointed his sword at Issei's face. "I'm not on any side, I'm still on the side of Mrs. Kaneko Taojo as the chosen hero according to the prophecy." The man then turned to me, "So you are the chosen hero?" The man with blonde hair wearing strange clothes seemed to come from the church pastor, but did not look like a priest starting to sheath his sword in front of me. "Joe's hero, sorry for my rudeness. My name is Naruto, I'm cleric class and one of 7 saints in the kingdom. May my sword and my faith will always be with you and your journey. Right now, my master wanted to see who's take the sword out from the stone of an oath. Please follow me. And who say you can take her out?" Issei immediately answered the cleric sharply, but the man responded by pointing the cross-shaped sword towards Issei with a sharp gaze. "For the sake of a goddess full of grace, don't you dare talk to me. A despicable creature like you doesn't deserve to live in this world. Wait, don't fight." I tried to stop them, but I didn't expect my sword to glow bright white. The man named Naruto started to stutter when the light formed a human figure. "It's so boring seeing this. Goddess May. By goddess, I am very honored by your presence." Huh? I saw May, who appeared from my sword in the clothes of a pure white cleric and looked very beautiful. I almost screamed when I saw May being called as a goddess in front of me by Naruto, and May, who looked at me back, she just replied with smile so pure that to me it looked very cute. Long story short, Kaneko Taojo, just figure something. That May is indeed a goddess that came from heaven, so does it mean she lied to me about her past life? In certain church, far south from the village we've arrived at the big church. "Welcome, I am happy to welcome you here." There we were greeted by a priestess who looked like she was 19 years old in white cleric clothes. "Miss Goddess May, I am very honored that you can appear in our church. My name is Ria Senate, I am just an ordinary priestess here." "Cut that crap out from you, Ria's I," who was surprised to hear that. I immediately turned to the person who said in such a harsh tone. When I saw who the culprit was, I was just silent. It was Issei, he said that with poker face while maintaining his calm as usual. "Also, drop that act, Naruto. I don't need your simple act just for the sake of your little dignity in front of my lady." Naruto and Rias immediately sighed when Issei insulted the two of them, who suddenly got a small laugh reaction from Angelia. "Ha, Issei, just when can you learn to respect your juniors? Why did we have to meet you when we thought we could get away from you for a few years?" Rias continued when both of them sighed in resignation to see how Issei still acted like he didn't care about that. Wait, did they know each other before? I never knew Issei had such connection with someone from one of the 7 saints in the kingdom. Fufu, this will be interesting," said Angelia while looking at the three who's still in their topic of unexpected reunion. "The dawn has come, and yet why I still doubt about myself being the chosen one as heroes. Issei J. Hayato, he is my knight that served me for 7 years, and he is the one I love the most in this world. For some reason he has acquaintance from 7 saint in the kingdom. His name is Naruto, wearing white cleric clothes with gentle smile and handsome face. His gentle tone and appearance sometimes makes my heart beat a little faster. I mean, as the healthy young girl of course I would react like that, right? This is Kaneko-sama, I will check outside for a bit," Issei said to me in his formal tone again, even though I sometimes get offended by how he behaved toward me and how formal his tone to me. However, I can forgive him, the reason is because I know how he really feels for me. "Okay," I replied. He then leave the church after he glanced at me for a bit. I keep staring at his back even when he has left the church, I still imagining about him. How cute. Ah. I almost jumped at the sudden voice that came from my back. When I look, there's a woman in very white cleric clothes with pure smile, but have an aura of saint person, despite her appearance like a ghost or something. Her name was May, and she is a goddess that came from heaven. Issei, that's the name of the night guard of the chosen hero. Even though his status as a knight still stuck with him, every day he began to doubt himself. The daytime sunlight shone on this world, and Issei was still thinking about how fate would continue regarding Kaneko's confirmed status as a hero. His destiny is nothing more than a sacrifice, but he still can't accept that fact deep down inside. It's really sad for me, isn't it? Even though I already know, however, will I? He never knows and will never know. Still thinking about it, Senior Issei. The voice from beside him made him immediately glance at the source of the sound. When he saw Naruto who was standing beside him, Issei only answered with a sigh. Naruto, tell me. How was the situation in the kingdom during my absence? Still the same as usual, our king is still arrogant and greedy like before. Is that a sentence you have to say as one of the royal saints? I'm just saying a fact. Is that so? It is. Say, Issei. When will you take properly care about her growth? What do you mean? Don't you see the problem about her? She has no combat ability whatsoever, so how you'd expect anything from her if you're gone, say, like you dead or something? That's not gonna happen. Why you so sure about that? Because the one who's going to kill me one day is my lady herself. So, before that happens, no one will ever touch her. Better not to make a promise that you know you can't keep it. Naruto glanced at him with a doubtful look about Issei's claim. Although he knows quite well how Issei is, in the past 7 years he has begun to doubt Issei. Tell me, Issei. How do you feel about that little miss? I do not know. I knew it. Another day has passed and I still don't know anything about this sword. Naruto said that this sword is holy sword that came from heaven, but it is true. I courtyard of church I held my sword and tried to feel the energy from this sword. Pretending I know what I was doing, I tried to unleash the true power, although I don't know why, but I feel so cringe about that way of thinking I had. Okay, let's see how to use it. I closed my eyes and started to hold this sword with both my hands. Her holy power, come out. I am your new holder, and this is my command to you. Is that the sentence? I was still trying to get that energy out, but I failed, again. Until something warm began to envelop me, something strange but not scary began to enter my mind. So, you're my new holder, little girl. Strange voice came. When I was open my eyes and look around I didn't see anything. Who is that? Wait, don't tell me that you didn't know anything about me. Huh? Is it coming from this thing? How dare you calling me who known as holy sword as a thing? There. Well, whatever. Now, little girl, may I ask you what do you really want in your life? I don't know what I want from this world, but when I think someone else the one start coming to my mind is, Issei. Be the one I treasure the most and the one I really want to be with me. Am I really allowed to have such an egoistic way of thinking? I don't know. Look at the sky, where's the sky and cloud was, I imagining Issei in the future where we will be together forever, like in the fairy tale, where's my late mother always told me before went to slept. Another day has passed and I was still in the courtyard of the church where my sword has always talked to me in very rude way. Also, May for some reason didn't showed up for past 2 days. I don't know what happened to her, but hopefully she will come up again because she is the only friend I have in here. In past 2 days, I've been watching Saint Naruto and his partner Rias. As far I knew about Naruto, it seemed he coming from capital and graduate as one of the 7 holy saint in the kingdom, like he said previously to me and Issei. But the way he acted toward Issei and the girl named Rias, I don't think they know each other for short amount of time, they must known each other for so long. But again, Issei didn't say anything about them, so I decided not to talk about it, despite my curious about their relationship were quite high. Oju-sama, what's you thinking? All of sudden Issei speak to me after coming from nowhere. When I glance a little, he smile at me as usual. So he didn't realize. What I meant is, how he changed his very formal tone back to his usual respectful and yet very gentle tone to me, which I miss for almost forever. I didn't know how to reply, but all I can do is smile and came closer to him. There Oju-sama. When I lay my head on his chest I can felt his warmth enveloping me like a mysterious energy that I love so much. His heartbeat, I can feel it. Oh Oju-sama, you can't do this. What do you mean? I replied without looking at him. Both of us stayed quiet for a while, and when I thought he wasn't going to do anything I was wrong. Something soft touched my head and it feels so weird. You're really spoiled little lady. Issei said that while gently patting my head. For some unknown reason, I felt warmth deep inside me. If you can hear me, listen this little girl. Your energy is sacred energy that can only be replenished with pure energy. And one of them is, love. So, just ignore me and continue your lovey-dovey. After that damn sword spoke something like that, I was immediately shocked and snapped out of my imagination in an instant. What happened, Oju-sama? Issei, who was also confused by my attitude that suddenly pulled away from his embrace, Issei then looked at me with a worried face. No thing I tried to act as normal as possible, trying to make him not notice the wild imagination that had been in my mind for a moment. Oju-sama. Ice. Oh, why am I suddenly nervous in front of him? I'm trying to control myself, who is holding myself back from wanting to be spoiled longer by him. But Issei just looked at me with a serious face, trying to tell me that what he was about to say was something very important. Oju-sama, we may still have a long way to go, but I want to remind you once again. You are the chosen hero of the legends. You better be prepared for something bad to happen in the future. But, you will always be by my side, right? Always and forever. Then I have nothing to fear because the strongest person is always by my side. Isn't that right, Issei? Issei just smiled, nodding at me as the answer I needed right now. Even though I don't know what will happen in the future, but I'm sure everything can be passed if Issei is with me. Our journey continues after saying goodbye to Naruto and Ophelia. To be honest, I quite like them both, they are very nice, and Naruto also looks very elegant, very typical like a noble. Our journey now reaches a swampy area where, according to Issei, we should arrive at a nearby town in 3 days. It's far enough, but I don't really hate it. We should be able to bring our cart, but Issei said it's very vulnerable as a raid by bandits. So the current plan is, we'll walk and get back on the wagon once we get to town. The plan is quite simple, but I'm tired of walking all day. We will rest here, Oju-sama, Issei said as he looked at me, who was tired from walking. You did very well, Oju-sama again. Issei spoiled me by letting me rest on the grass and start wiping my sweat. I'm not a child, Issei. Why you angry, Oju-sama? Because you're dumb. Yufufu, Issei chuckled seeing me being angry with him. He kept spoiling me like a child. Honestly, I would have preferred if he did things differently. You're too cute. I'm sorry if I make you angry, Oju-sama. Again, I can read deep inside his heart, and when I know how his honest feeling, I can't stop smiling at him. The two of us are still resting here and occasionally looking at the swamp, which looks lush and beautiful. Hey Issei, do you think there's fish in there? Are you hungry, Oju-sama? Kinda. Okay, let me show you something. Issei then walked towards the swamp. When I thought he was going to fish, I was surprised when he coated himself with bright blue energy. Water elements, water dragons. The water dragon began to form in the swamp and floated freely in the air. What impressed me, inside the water dragon there were several fish caught. Issei then glanced at me with a smile. Do you mind if I make fish soup? I nodded at him and was quite excited when I saw Issei starting to cook the fish he caught. The evening comes and Issei cooks his catch in an extraordinary way. What I mean by extraordinary is the taste of the food, which is absolutely delicious. When I'm too full from eating Issei's cooking, I can only lie on the grass with my eyes fixed on the stars that are starting to appear in the evening sky. Yufufu, you were too eager to eat that food, Oju-sama. Issei giggled a little again when he saw me unable to stand up. He then stroked my forehead gently while starting to hum a tune I've never heard. After only a few moments, Issei started to sing something. The traveler who lost in the mist of the forest. An extended hand reaching me. The slightest hint of a premonition. Then a single drop of light that was caught and spilled. The final destination of all thoughts is still far, far away. Searching for quests. Roaming the land. Before long, they will be sung about the tale. And the tale become thousands, even millions of melodies. Even though their fate is to be lost, to be stolen away, to disappear someday, they are the very things we cannot forget about their stories. I don't know why, but that song makes me want to cry. A very sad song, about a fate that is very sad, like a melody that has never been heard. Issei kept repeating the song, which made me unable to hold back my tears anymore. My tears dripped and kept dripping until I unconsciously grabbed Issei's shirt quite tightly. I was carried away to a dreamland where I hoped to have a very beautiful dream. Where am I? I'm walking around to a white place without knowing which way I'm going. There I saw something in the distance. All system, green. Mission control to Atlantis, you're good to go. A strange object I can see in the distance. I got closer and closer until I saw what it was. The strange object floats freely as if it is flying freely with magic. It's so beautiful. Strange humans in strange clothes started to emerge from the strange object, and when I followed their gazes I was immediately shocked. So this is Earth. From their sight, they saw a very large object, shining blue. Is this what Issei showed me yesterday? Who and what are they doing? They are hovering, gazing into the sky full of stars through strange clothes where thousands to millions of stars fill my sight. I kept looking at it until something was replaced by a glance where I saw something tragic. I tried to scream for it to stop, but the tragic scene kept repeating itself as if it was scaring me. I was scared, I cried, until something touched my shoulder. Oju-sama, don't be afraid. I'm here. Issei. Our journey finally reached the end of the swamp where in the distance we could see a city that seemed very peaceful. Since that night where I had a strange nightmare, Issei had been watching over me all night without me knowing whether he was asleep or not. He also keep close an eye around corner it just like he expects something will come. Oju-sama, are you still able to walk? I think so. We then walked again through these swamps where before long we arrived at the main road that took us directly to the city at the corner of the eye. We will arrive at Roosevelt City. I heard the Duke over there is quite good with the people. Have you ever been here, Issei? Several times in the past. At the main gate, guards in knight armor were the first to welcome any newcomer to the city. Welcome to Roosevelt City, I am Captain Jonas, on behalf of Duke Gorfland, we warmly welcome you and wish you a comfortable stay in our city. Seeing the good reception from the knights, I immediately stepped forward and gave the two of them a greeting back. I am Duchess Kaneko Taojo from Yorjisk City, thank you for welcoming us. This is my knight, Issei, please introduce yourself. With pleasure, Mrs. Kaneko. Issei then knelt down with one hand he placed on his chest with a respectful aura towards the two knights. My name is Issei J. Hayato, I am vassal Kaneko Taojo, I hope you can become good friends with me. Issei, I am Vice Captain Kursky. We are both very honored by your presence, please come in, and I hope your time here is well worth it. When the gate opened we could see the beautiful city in our eyes, Issei and I then walked into the city where we could see the sights of civilians doing activities, many of them seem to be very happy here, and I'm a little curious about how the Duke manages the city. Oju-sama, I think we should find a place to spend the night here, while waiting for our wagon to arrive. Great idea, Issei and I walked again looking for a temporary inn while looking around the city. Before long we found a normal inn, Issei took care of everything while I just sat on the chair waiting for him to finish things I didn't understand. You look not from here, are you a newcomer? The voice came and when I glanced to my side, I saw a woman dressed like an explorer from the local guild. Yes. I just arrived in this town. Oh? What made you want to come to this town, little girl? I'm not a little girl. I protested to the girl when she mentioned a little girl towards me, somehow everyone always calls me like that and it really pissed me off for several reasons. Anyway. Did she just ignore it, did she? Wanna go adventure together? She definitely didn't care about my protests at all. I tried to calm myself for a moment and then look at her once again. Then. Okay, let's go. She doesn't even let me finish my sentence. All I know after that she dragged me out from inn to do some quest she has. But. Where you want to take my lady, stranger? The cold voice along with a dark aura came from behind us, just as I was about to say something I could see a sword almost stuck to this girl's neck. It was Issei who just gave this girl a very intimidating tone. And you? This girl is very calm even though the sword on her neck she doesn't look scared. The girl glanced at Issei, I didn't understand what the girl was thinking, but I could see a faint smile on her face. Based on your uniform, you seem to be from a semi-military organization, am I right? I won't answer you until you tell me who you are and what you want from Oju-sama. Worrying, why don't we take a little chat outside, shall we? The girl then led us out of the inn to the outdoor dining area where there were several people who seemed to be enjoying their time at this restaurant. When we arrived, Issei then pulled up a chair letting me sit down, and after I sat down he started sitting next to me with the girl sitting across from us. Talk. Issei got straight to the point without any small talk, which irritates me quite a bit with the way he treats strangers, other than who he knows. Wait a minute, doesn't he treat those he knows the same way? You you're so impatient. We don't have time for the person who almost kidnapped Oju-sama. I'm not trying to kidnap her, you know. I didn't ask. You just did. Issei started to get annoyed with the way the girl was playing with her words. Issei then glared at the girl with full of threats. Don't you dare test my patience, young lady. What if I did? I would make you perish from this world. Oh, so scary. Seeing that the girl was so brave to test Issei's patience, I couldn't help but stare at the two in silence. You know, I heard a rumor, you know. A rumor about a hero being chosen by fate. And that mysterious hero has managed to draw the legendary sword, the holy sword of 7 stars, one of the world's most treasured relics. When the girl looks at me I get a little tensed, especially when she talks about the chosen hero. Do you perhaps know something, Mr. Knight? The girl's smile was clearly mocking Issei, because it seemed that the girl already knew something about who the chosen hero was. What do you want? Issei asked without reducing his threatening tone to the girl. Nothing. You still haven't answered my question, who are you and what do you want? Okay, my name Gabriel and I'm a 3rd saint in the kingdom, currently I'm working as 3rd ranked explorer in the city, so hopefully you can be nice to me. Never heard and don't want to be friends with someone like you. Also, you better stay away from my lady or else I will make you regret. Oju-sama, we're leaving. Issei then stood up and led me away from the girl named Gabriel, the girl in a dress-like outfit covered in light armor, who declared herself to be one of the saints in the kingdom, made me a little curious about Gabriel. See you later, chose heroes. When Gabriel said that, I immediately turned towards the place where we had been sitting, but strangely she wasn't there anymore, as if her presence had just disappeared. The day has passed and I feel that today will be much better than yesterday. Oju-sama, would you like some tea? Yes please. Issei then came to bring the tea he had made in the kitchen of this inn. I don't know how Issei convinced the innkeeper, but I was very satisfied with Issei's tea. Oju-sama, do you have any plans today? No, do you want something from me, Issei? Something like that, Oju-sama. Okay, you can guide me later after this, Issei. Thank you very much, Oju-sama. When I thought that Issei would take me out on a date, I immediately regretted that my imagination turned out to be so different from reality. Oju-sama, you should focus more. Outside the gate, precisely in the training area where the city soldiers were training, I who was training on controlling the power I got from the sword. Try to imagine the flow of energy through your veins. I closed my eyes and tried to follow what Issei instructed. A moment later I felt something warm start to enveloping me, strange, but when I tried to increase my concentration power, I started to feel something, it was so strange. Good job, Oju-sama. Keep it up, you're almost there. A moment later, a bright white-colored energy started oozing out of me, and when I opened my eyes, I could see myself being enveloped with this energy. Issei clapped when he saw that I managed to draw out the energy in this sword. Now Oju-sama, let's learn the basics of swordsmanship. First you have to learn the technique of the stance. The next thing I know, Issei teaches me almost everything about the swordsmanship. Duke, I have confirmed that the little princess has arrived in our city. Good job, Gabriel. Make sure that they feel at home in our city. We can't let them feel uncomfortable here. With pleasure, Duke. Also, I have something to ask you. Gabriel. Anything, Duke? Tell me where Saint's number 7 Jonathan is. Do you know where he is now? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find where Saint Jonathan is. Is that so? Do you need him urgently, Duke? Something like that. Right now we have information that dukes in other areas are targeting Princess Kaneko. There is a possibility that they will do something in the city. I want you to take care of this issue right away. Do you understand? I understand, my duke. Good, now you can leave. Gabriel left the duke's room and headed in another direction where she was going to do something. Meanwhile the duke was staring intently at the door where he was imagining something. I won't let you destroy this place. Demon Queen Castle, far north of the human kingdom. My lady, the hero has been chosen by fate. Do you have any information about who he is? Yeah, she seems to be a girl, and from what we know she looks weak. Is there a way to stop this pathetic fate from repeating itself? My lady. The woman sitting in the throne room with an appearance like a mix between a human and a demon made her look like a human with a pair of ordinary ornate horns on her head. Can you imagine what it's like to become the 700th demon lord only to meet death at the edge of a human sword? To be honest, I'm scared and sick of it. However, what can I do to change destiny? I really want to live freely and fly in the sky, but the world is so pathetic that I can't even cry anymore. Anyone, please. Save me from this cruel fate. Gabriel, that's my name, bearing the status of a third-ranked explorer and also bearing the title of saint, made me an elite among the nobles. The title I have is sometimes a bit of a hassle, but I don't hate it. It is the result of my hard work so far. Currently I have a task of investigating possible rats who managed to enter the city without us knowing. Now let's see who dares to sneak out of my sight. I walked through the streets of the city, which was peaceful as usual. None of the residents looked unhappy, and to me it was refreshing to my eyes. When I saw Kaneko and her knights walking the other way, I couldn't help but wonder what they were doing. Maybe peeking at them would be interesting. I walked a good distance away from them, trying to avoid the knights, knowing I was following them. When they passed through the gate and headed to the training grounds, I was a little curious. Are they planning a secret date? A little excited, I immediately hid and looked for the best peeking place. Oju-sama, you are so amazing. Oh. I saw Issei stroke Kaneko's head after they did something that seemed to be just practicing energy control. It's just that the energy currently enveloping Kaneko actually makes me even more interested and want to know a little more about Kaneko. Holy energy, who would have thought that I could see it live here? Kaneko just released an energy that is very sacred and dangerous to the demons. Now I have confirmed that Kaneko is indeed the chosen hero. I kept monitoring the two until. Issei, can I hug you? Of course. Next thing I know, something really adorable is happening in front of my eyes. Oh, the two of them are so cute. They hugged as if the world only belonged to them, and it really refreshed my eyes. I can endure days just watching these two interact like that. Maybe I should respect their privacy. I then left my place in order to make their time much more valuable, because it is very rude for me to secretly peek at a couple like them. Talking about the mission the Duke gave me, I was reminded of the existence of Bandit not far from Westgate. As I was walking through the woods where it is believed the most frequent attacks on merchants by bandits, I started to raise my eyebrows when I felt something quite interesting. Well, look who actually came to our location. Who would have thought that our prey today would be a young girl? Behind the shadow of the forest appeared a group of humans surrounding me. They were armed with various sharp objects, and many of them seemed very dangerous to ordinary civilians. So you are the ones who have been threatening the peace of the city. So what? Do you want to be our next prey, young lady? Hearing that answer, I immediately got fed up with them. My sword I aimed at those who were currently surrounding me with a sharp glare full of hatred, power-coated my sword, and I looked straight at them all. Unfortunately, my plan is to make you as my prey. Kill her. Spontaneously they all rushed towards me with all their strength, which I find very pathetic. I immediately took out my power, which can make me predict their movements. Don't let this bastard escape. Those who saw me floating in the air immediately attacked me with arrows. I easily parried with my sword, and when they didn't expect a counterattack, I immediately attacked one of them. Rah. One of them screamed in pain as I slashed it with my sword. Phew, it's not over yet. Don't mock us. They attacked me again, and I again parried with my sword. One by one from each attack I managed to block them very easily. Hiing. The sound of iron clashing echoed when I stopped the sword with mine. Weak, I insulted him, who started to growl angrily at me. Come on, entertain me a little longer. They attacked me again, and this time they used a bit of their brains. They attacked alternately and combined with arrows, which gave me a bit of trouble. You guys piss me off, can't none of you attack me? Seeing every single one of their attacks I managed to break with ease, I immediately intended to end this very quickly. Mother of Nature, gave me your power. Wind blades. I swung my sword and spontaneously the wind that formed like blades immediately flew towards them, which suddenly made all of them blown away like crazy. How boring. I saw all of them who were unconscious when they received an attack from me. Maybe I should bring someone to take them, huh? Since they all passed out, it was very unwilling for me to carry them in my hands. I'm so disgusted to have to touch them. I currently want to walk away from this place as fast as I could. As I walked towards the main gate, I felt something disturbing coming from the forest behind me. I followed the direction where the feeling was getting stronger. Slowly the light was getting darker, as if the sunlight couldn't penetrate any more into the forest. There I saw something in the distance. Who is there? I asked. Something in the distance where I feel that there is a human being there. Before long, in the dim light of the sun in this forest, I saw a figure emerge from the shadows. Who are you? I asked the figure on full alert. The figure didn't answer until his eyes looked directly at me, which made me shiver a little. Kill. Damn it. I immediately drew my sword and parried the sudden attack that came. Our two swords clashed, and when I could see his face, a very terrifying face typical of an assassin. I had a little trouble holding this human strength until suddenly he increased his strength, causing me to fall back a little. Who are you? What do you want? Kills. Okay, looks like you don't want to talk. The man shot back at me, and this time his attack was twice as fast as before, making it difficult for me to dodge his attack. Kill. Seeing the man's attacks getting madder, I had no other choice but to use my full strength. Windstorm. I immediately threw a windstorm at the man. When I thought my attack would hit the man, I was immediately shocked when he was standing there unscathed. In the midst of my confusion, he again launched an impromptu attack that caught me off guard. He's strong. When I looked at him, he again blew me away with his insanely strength. Kill. I was getting annoyed, immediately stood up and looked at him. Windstorm. I immediately shot at him as soon as I cast my magic attack. He who saw that I was about to attack him immediately alerted, but he didn't expect that I would take that opportunity. I jump up and launch my attack from above his head. Another clank sounded again, and this time it was me who was left speechless when he was able to stop my attack with the hilt of his sword. I was thrown again by him, and when I got back up, he disappeared from where he was standing. Kill. The voice came from behind, and before I had time to react, I caught a glimpse of him waving his sword. I immediately jumped to avoid a deadly attack that could kill me. I saw my left hand, which was missing from my arm. A moment later, pain invaded my mind. I started to realize that my hand had just been hit by that attack. Just as I was about to do something about the pain, the man shot back towards me at very high speed. Hiya. The guy kicked me, and this time he continued to punch me in the face, which sent me crashing into several trees. I coughed up blood as the bruises started to hurt all over my body. When I raised my face, the figure was standing in front of me with the sword pointed at my face. Don't underestimate me. I tried to stand up, but something hurt again in my leg until I realized what was happening. HRRRRRKKK. That man pressed his sword against my feet, making me have to restrain myself from screaming as loudly as possible. Kill. Hiya. This time the scream managed to escape from my mouth when the man cut my right leg. I, who couldn't stand the pain, could only lie down with tears that couldn't be stopped flowing from my face. When I glanced back at the human who was still viciously thrusting his sword at my leg, I could see his emotionless face. I let out a small scream when he brought his face closer, so I could see that scary face up close. He then drew his sword, and it made me scream again in pain to the point where I wanted to faint. When he pulled my face, he forced me to stand up, and when he and his sword were about to end my life, I could only close my eyes with tears still streaming down my face. Help me. I really hope for help right now, until. Ding. The clanking sound was heard. I slowly opened my eyes, and when my eyes opened, I could see a sword with a human sword that was going to kill me earlier. That mysterious sword wielded by a human figure in a semi-military uniform had black hair. He was the one who saved my life, and he was. Are you okay? Issei. Issei quickly hit the man, and spontaneously the man's grip slipped from my face. For a moment I was about to fall. Issei very well caught me, so I didn't hit the ground. In his arms, Issei hugged me tightly with a serious face. Still Issei pointed at the mysterious man. Whoever you are, I will not hesitate to kill you if you don't leave here. But the threatening tone and energy blazing from Issei's body, he at first glance looks like a very cool prince. Surprisingly, the man suddenly retreated, and in an instant he disappeared from behind the shadow of this lush forest. I, who was still enduring the pain from the wound, could only groan as Issei slowly lowered me and let me sit on the grass. Issei's face looks very strange in my eyes. For some reason I feel very relieved when someone helps me. I shed tears again while thinking about that until I felt something soft touch my eyes. Don't cry, everything will be fine. Issei wiped my tears, and he very nicely calmed me, who was shaken by what just happened. I don't know why, but his words managed to calm me down, and he started to treat my wound gently. So this is why the little girl fell in love with Issei. Issei is very good at taking care of me, and even I can feel that Issei is very worried about my condition. Listen to me, I'll give you back your arms and legs, but whatever you're seeing right now, don't ever tell anyone, do you understand? I don't understand what he means. I can only nod until a moment later I can see his changed face. His eyes changed to the shape of a terrible wolf, a pair of animal ears began to appear on his head, and his hair turned white long, which was very strange to my eyes. Hold the pain for a while. When Issei opened his mouth, I could see a pair of long fangs. Vampire. When I wanted to open my mouth, I was instantly speechless when Issei stabbed his long teeth into my shoulder. It hurt a lot, but after a while the pain turned into a very strange feeling. My body feels hot, even so hot it makes me want to take off my clothes right now. I just closed my eyes hoping this heat would go away, and why that strange feeling started to eat away at my mind, as if someone was telling me my mind that I wanted to hug him tight. My blood feels sucked, so that I can only imagine, very unnatural to the point where I am very embarrassed to imagine it. Issei started to slowly release his bite from my shoulder, making me feel the strange feeling again, as if I still wanted a little more time. Get up, are you okay? When I heard Issei, I opened my eyes and looked at him, who had returned to his original form. But I felt something, my hand. My feet. How? I don't know anything, somehow my arms and legs have returned to normal. Issei just kept quiet and stroked me gently on the head. Whatever it is, don't ever say this to anyone. I beg of you. I couldn't help but nod until I could see a faint smile on his face. Issei then stood up and looked at me once again. Come on, we have to go back to town, I'll take you. I let out a small scream as he took me into his arms, where he carried me like a princess I always hear in stories. He just walked away ignoring it, but on his face I could see another figure from inside Issei. A very kind person who saved me when I needed help. What I know next, I fell asleep smiling in a dream where I felt I was the luckiest girl in this world. Another day has passed and I, Kaneko Taojo, still have to practice energy control with Issei, quite inconvenient and annoying, but I was forced to follow what Issei said, considering he is sometimes very chatty about some things related about me. So. What are you doing here, Gabriel? I immediately glanced at the girl who yesterday forced me to go along with her on an exploration mission. Since yesterday these two look so close to each other, it kinda suspicious, but whatever. The capital city. The throne room, the king as usual stared at this large room with a blank stare, where he was lost in his thoughts where nothing interesting happened. My king. Someone walked into the room in the typical aristocratic attire, kneeling in front of him with grace. What do you want? My king, allow us to be the expedition team in eradicating those damn demons. No. Why? Because I hate the idea of a woman on the battlefield. Can you get out of my sight now? Your Majesty, how can you say that? I have served the kingdom and become the best. So. Shut up, are you starting to dare to oppose me? An intonation filled with intimidation began to fill the room. The girl immediately fell silent when she saw the king began to look angry. The girl could only kneel in silence waiting for the king to speak, but silence still filled the room until a few moments later the king started to stand up from his chair. Listen, I have a much better mission for you. I ordered you to go southeast and look for clues about the girl named Kaneko, do you understand me? Yes, your majesty. The girl leaves, leaving the king alone again in his room where he is lost in his thoughts again. Far in the northeast where the area looks very calm, all of that slowly disappears as the sky is slowly replaced with a dark sky where the clouds look black like storm clouds. Behind the hills, one by one, figures began to appear walking in formation towards an unknown place where they were going. Hundreds to thousands of monstrous figures began to be seen walking in formation until the figure of a large monster was also seen in the formation. "Long live your majesty the queen. Long live your majesty the queen." They shouted in tones that were terrifying to any human who listened. The sound of their screams even echoes for tens to thousands of kilometers for those who are sensitive enough to hear it. "Humans, we will destroy you in the castle of darkness." The figure of a woman sitting in the throne room stared at the window where she saw in the distance the light of the place where humans lived. The woman rested her face on one hand while thinking something. "Destiny has come, the chosen hero has existed, and this is the destiny of my life. I would end up at the tip of his sword, where I lived only to be killed without knowing the reason why. My predecessor had suffered that fate, and it's now my turn. Why is this world?" she asked with a sad face where she should know her destiny. This woman's life is nothing more than victim material for a story that has been passed for hundreds to thousands of years. "Help me whoever it is wherever it is, please get me out of this cursed world." Like an echo carried by the wind, that soft voice continues to travel through this world to a place where no one knows what it is. An individual with black hair wearing a semi-military outfit consisting of a shirt and some sort of black coat covering his body, sat under a tree quietly until he heard a voice. A soft voice that tickled his ears again sounded, and this time the voice carried by the echo was getting louder and clearer. "The demon queen has made a move, has she?" Issei Hayato, that's the name of that individual who was relaxing leaning under a tree with his sword at his side. He heard the demon queen's call very clearly, but he was able to stay conscious, even though he was still called a demon race, but he was only half a demon. But why did the demon queen say something about asking for help? What really happened? Issei, who saw how things felt different, started to stand up and walk the other way where he started looking for someone. It didn't take long for him to walk, he saw someone he was looking for. She is Kaneko Taojo, the silver-haired girl he served for 7 years. "Oju-sama. Oh, Issei. Come here." Kaneko excitedly tugged Issei's sleeve to a fairly crowded food stand. "Excuse me uncle, can I buy one?" "Of course, young lady." When Kaneko received the food that looked like something made of ice and showed it to Issei with great pleasure, Issei couldn't help but smile. "What is this, Oju-sama?" "You know what, it's called ice cream, and I guarantee you it's going to be really good." Kaneko started handing the cold food that she had bitten to Issei excitedly without even bothering about something quite embarrassing. Issei tried to restrain himself from wanting to say such embarrassing things after seeing Kaneko's happy face. "Oju-sama, are you sure this can be called an indirect kiss if you force me to eat the food you have bitten?" And Issei accidentally said that, which suddenly made Kaneko surprised by the reality. Whoa! Kaneko let out a very cute shriek in Issei's ear, which made him have to do his best to restrain himself from wanting to say how cute Kaneko was in his eyes. Kaneko then slightly turned her face away with a flushed face from realizing how embarrassing it was. Then Kaneko started to peek slightly at Issei, with her mouth slightly pursed when she saw Issei's face, which seemed unaffected by anything. Sometimes seeing how stupid Issei's brain is makes Kaneko have to sigh heavily on how to break Issei's shell. "Ooh, I can't give up. I have to make him look at me no matter what." Kaneko started to get excited again while thinking about how she could subdue Issei until something very inappropriate started flashing through her mind. "Kaneko, I love you." "Phew. Why would I? That's embarrassing." Kaneko, who imagined how Issei hugged her and said those sweet words in her ear, made her have to restrain herself from wanting to scream out loud. But if I can get Issei to say that even in his mind, I'm so happy." "Alright. I will make you fall in love with me, Issei. Just you wait." Kaneko was getting excited about the plan she was about to carry out, and to make things run smoothly, the first thing she had to do was time to change appearances. And with that, Kaneko ran here and there looking for something that might change her until she realized something quite fatal. "Ooh, I'm confused." Yep, Kaneko doesn't have any talent at all when it comes to her appearance, especially when it comes to clothes that suit her. Issei used to always tell me that whatever I wore would look really pretty, but he didn't even say that as if he was really impressed by my appearance. I can only protest my shortcomings in this matter in front of a clothing store that seems to have various things I don't understand. Do you need help, miss?" The voice came from behind me. When I turned around, I saw a woman who seemed to be the same age as me. That girl looks simple, but somehow I see her as if she is a very attractive woman. The woman looked at me worriedly, and I, who was still lamenting myself, started to have a pretty good idea. Can you help me?" "Eh? Of course. But then. I forced her to go with me, and this time I didn't really listen to anything this girl had to say because of the many things I hoped to work out well tonight. When I thought about how I would appear very attractive in front of Issei, I actually found myself in a much more annoying situation. This woman, without me realizing it, turned out to be a very troublesome woman, more than I imagined. And again, I have to be forced to go with what she says if I want everything I plan to work. Lately I've had to be extra vigilant when my feelings about the demon army start to bother me. Issei Hayato, an assassin from the Dark Guild who has been living a life in the shadows all this time. Currently I'm a vassal of Kaneko Taojo, a 16-year-old girl whom I saved from a battle for power as the next ruler of the city where she grew up. Even so, I saved her life not because I wanted to, but because of the mission I would carry out while I was with Kaneko until the end of my life. For now I don't want to think about things that won't necessarily happen and stay focused on what is right now, walking down the streets of the city until. Is that Oju-sama? I saw Kaneko in the distance walking with someone. I don't know what her name was, so I chose to follow them both. As I continued to follow them until they arrived at a clothing store, I started to suspect whether she was planning a kidnapping of Oju-sama or not. Obviously I had my sword ready to cut her down. For now I continue to watch the two of them from safe distance in order to not raise her attention. Little did I know, most of the costumer in this store was looking at me with complicated face. Haha. Please stop teasing me. Nah, you already cute with this. What is going on over there? I thought when I heard Oju-sama's voice inside this clothes shop. I tried to slowly move closer to those who seemed to have changed clothes. My sword was ready for me to use, however. Just what the hell am I doing here? I started asking myself when I saw the two of them who seemed to be shopping for clothes. Seeing Oju-sama's different appearance made me smile. I'd better leave them alone for a while. Stepping away from there, I then moved in another direction where along the way I only saw humans everywhere. Despite being born as a demi-human, but I still have a dislike for the human race as a whole. An exception for Kaneko Taojo and a few people I truly value as a human race, but apart from them, all humans are pathetic in my eyes. In the midst of my blasphemy against the human race, I see various preparations. It seems that the humans are preparing to do some kind of festival tonight. Hey big brother, wanna have some fun? A woman approaches me with a sensual tone. My mood is even more ruined when I see this pathetic woman who is trying to seduce me with her appearance. Get away from me. I said in a cold tone to her, trying to get this woman away from me. Instead of leaving immediately, this woman was even more aggressive in teasing me. Brother, you are quite cool, how about you accompany me, who is lonely tonight? Her tone seemed pampered, but I, who was already disgusted with the human race, were made even more disgusted by how this woman was behaving towards me. Full of anger, I stared at her with a fierce glare full of hatred, trying to give this woman a stern warning. You better get away from me or I'll force you to leave. Ah, you're so strict, I really like you. Is this woman stupid or her brain too shallow? My mind is trying to hold back from hitting this woman, forcing her to leave me, but seeing the hectic situation I can only hold back, but without me knowing this woman actually pulled me in another direction forcibly as if she was dominating me. When we were in a place that seemed to be a nightclub for men thirsty for worldly lust, this woman led me inside where dim lights adorn the hall. Now I'm starting to question the professional attitude that has always been my pride. When we were in a closed room where there were only the two of us, this woman started to stare at me. What does she really want? I thought when I saw this woman who seemed to be planning something. You don't look like a prostitute who works here. Did you notice? Yes, it's very clear. A moment of silence fell over both of us, and this woman started to change her attitude by sitting in front of me with a very professional posture. The eagle has fallen. Those 4 sentences immediately explained everything about what I didn't want to hear from the guild I worked for as long as I lived. Right now the birdcage has been destroyed and swarms of bees are hunting for the remnants of what they were after. The alpha code has been executed and the next order has been given by the temporary substitute in this critical situation. Now, the various units are being spread out in various areas and the many remaining birdhouses have also carried out their orders. Issei Hayato, you are currently instructed to be extra vigilant about your surroundings and protect the Pakage as best you can. We don't know what the queen bee might do next. So far there have been no movements that need extra attention, but we have suspicions of rats among the organizational bodies. Until the perpetrators are found, you are prohibited from making contact with any base. Do you understand? Yes, I understood. Good, then you can carry out your duties as usual. I will return to the remaining cages to report what I found. One more thing. Codename Noelle is reported missing. We didn't find her whereabouts until now. We still don't know what she found or what she knows. The suspicion that he was the culprit is something we are currently investigating. That's all. Good luck, Issei Hayato. That woman then left the moment she finished her speech. Like a thin air, she's disappear in an instant. Issei, who is still sitting in this room, can only silently stare at the ceiling with mixed thoughts. He never thought that this would happen, he didn't know whether he should be sad or not, now he only knew that his mission was not finished, and he had to stay calm. Funk. Who can joke by saying that he can calm down when he finds out about this. Issei then stood up and walked out of this place. Along the way, he just stared at the bustling streets with his mind still unable to think clearly after all he had heard. As soon as he walked, he saw someone waving a hand in the distance. Oju-sama. Seeing Kaneko Taojo, who was running towards him with a smile, Issei immediately changed his attitude, trying not to look strange in front of the Oju-sama. Issei. That girl was his master whom he had served for these 7 years, and she was now wearing clothes that were very different from the clothes she used to wear. Hey Issei. How do I look? Kaneko asked with a face full of hope as to what Issei would say next. Kaneko, who was normally wearing a typical noble outfit in all black, was now wearing an outfit that was almost similar to the dress she usually wore, but with the same pattern, and the color of the dress was very bright. What Issei thought was how the different mixed colors of blue and white in her dress made Kaneko's beautiful impression very clearly radiated to all who saw it. Unprepared for the answer that Issei would give, he could only avert his face slightly, trying to hide how clearly Issei wanted to say what was in his head. You look too pretty and cute, sorry for my impudence, but you really do look very beautiful. Little did Issei know that Kaneko, who has the ability to read minds when hearing Issei's heart, say that made her heart beat quite fast. You, so that's what you think, Issei. Kaneko immediately held her cheeks, which felt warm at Issei's indirect compliment. The two fell into silence where neither of them spoke at all until something broke their silence. And it was the sound of the trumpet signaling the festival was going on right now. Seeing that their surroundings were starting to feel crowded, Kaneko immediately took the initiative by daring herself to hold onto Issei's sleeve. Would you like to accompany me in this festival? Kaneko asked with a flushed face and eyes that seemed to shine a little like the shining stars of the night. Almost hypnotized by Kaneko's unusual beauty, Issei was almost lost in his imagination, and he quickly returned to his normal self, trying not to look weird. Of course, Oju-sama. Hearing being called as formal, Kaneko immediately looked at Issei with a bit of annoyance. Don't call me that. But. No buts. Seeing Kaneko, who really didn't like how Issei called her formal, Issei couldn't help but smile while nodding. Alright, Kaneko. Hearing her name being softly called made Kaneko's heartbeat faster. In a smile, Kaneko pulled Issei into the crowd where many things were going on. Her face felt very hot, and her heart didn't stop beating very fast like she was fighting a war. Kaneko couldn't help but smile happily when the thing she wished for came true tonight. Demon Castle. My queen. In the throne room dimmed by the candlelight, a man with the appearance of a demi-human and a demon entered the room respectfully to the queen. The demon knelt respectfully at the queen to give a welcome and tried to get the queen to listen to what he had to say. Third Commander, Jahardi. What do you want from me? Said the demon queen, who was sitting on the throne chair with a very gripping aura characteristic of the ruler of all demons. My queen, I would like to report on the economic condition of our kingdom. Say it. Of course, my queen, at this time as you ordered, we are focusing on the process of rebuilding the irrigation system in the south and maximizing the potential of the agricultural sector. Predictably, we can at least fix all the crashes and get everything updated before summer ends. Unfortunately, we fear that our cash reserves will not be able to save us from the deficit that will occur in the near future due to the impact of the previous war the Demon King fought to humans several centuries ago. For now, we are still trying to prevent the economic collapse that could jeopardize our kingdom in the near future. Good job, I'm so proud of you. It is an honor for me to be praised by you, my queen. So? Is that all you wanted to say? The demon started to raise his face and looked at the demon queen with a little worry. It could be seen when she saw the sweat on the demon's face. Forgive me, my queens, but we have bad news. Say it. It's about the chosen hero. This time the demon's worries became even clearer when he mentioned the hero. We received information that the chosen heroes sooner or later will attack us, and if that happens, I'm afraid the casualties from our side will be much more severe, and worse, I'm afraid that our race will be completely extinct in this world. My queen, I beg of you. Save us. The previous Demon King almost wiped out our race, and this time if this happens many innocent families will fall victim to it. I don't care what it is you want, but I beg of you. Please save us. The demon pleaded with so much hope that he even lowered his head on this floor, seeing how frustrated the demon was. The queen then stood up and walked towards the demon. When the half-demon felt a touch on his shoulder, he immediately raised his face, and instantly he saw the demon queen's face for the first time. The demon queen, who used to sit on the throne with a dark aura, shrouding her, even her face, which was also covered with that dark aura, now seemed completely gone. What he saw was the face of a person who looked like an ordinary human, but he could feel an extraordinary power, making him even more certain that this was the demon queen. You're so kind to a demon who cares about other demons. My queen. The demon queen looked very sad, her incredibly beautiful face was looking at him with eyes filled with concern for their race. I swear by the throne I have and this power. I will never let that happen, even if it means I have to sacrifice my life. In his eyes, he saw the demon queen as someone completely different. The queen looks really amazing. My queen. End of the part 2. So how was this story? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this story with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.